Saludos y bienvenidos a todos on Father's Day. Feliz Día de los Padres a todos. How is everyone doing out there? Are you feeling like a python? Did you have a big steak right now? Did your parent, hey, on Father's Day, did they give you the big piece of chicken like Chris Rock says? I need to know. You got to let me know. Because remember, it's always about celebrating those special people in our lives. Hey, Josh Tovar, Part Principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll with the Assistant Principal, Roundtable number 4. There's been 3 other episodes of this. So I'd like for you to come on and join us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You know, you could do a lot of things. Maybe you're watching this on the rebroadcast. Maybe you're watching it live, whatever it might be. Thank you for being here because remember, this is free PD. It's part of the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. We've got Coach Hurt on Saturdays at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We got Shika and Tammy at 10:30. The 2 doctors working together. And Jefe, 10:55. On Father's Day, that guy is flying around. He's going from, I think, California to Texas to New Jersey. That cat is everywhere. But I am the anchor right here, the PGP podcast. The bookshelf, the ending shelf of the Fantastic Four. They have Super Saturday. All of us put together is the Fantastic Four. And I'd like to get started. Before I get into our guest today, we have the Chinchilagua moment. I don't know if some of our guests know about that. Hey, Doc, Sonia, do you know what a Chinchilagua is? I see that smile. I don't know. Chuck, over there, do you know what no, I see that head nodding. Maybe Gerard knows about it. David knows about it. He's been on the show before. Chinchilagua is a Mexican game. What you do is you line up against the wall and you yell, Chinchilagua y arriba boy, here I come. You line up all your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, and you go flying and you jump on top of one of them. And then the next one yells it, you go flying, you jump. Obviously, there's no iPads, all right? There's no iPhone 57 or Samsung 53. It's playing outside. And you keep on, and it's all fun and games. Everyone's having fun and games until someone gets hurt. What do I mean by that? It's my thought today. You know what? Education is so fun. And right now, we were finished. Our graduates were on May the 22nd. So it's been a while since we've been out of the classroom. We came back for a couple of days of PD. But still, it's already prepping for the next year. So many of you I've seen on social media that, hey, congratulations, you just got the chair. You just got the assistant principal's chair. You just got the principal's chair. Remember, number 1, you wanted that chair. Let me repeat that again. You interviewed for that chair and you prayed for a second round with the superintendent so that he or she selects you. Well, now you have it. You have the chair and you're preparing for 25-26. You already have most of your data. You know that the test scores came back. You have your discipline data of how the kids behaved that year. And you have other points of references. So what are you doing? What are you doing right now during this lull? I know that New Jersey, I think New England, Chuck, you might correct me if I'm wrong, New England still has 1 more week of school. But other than that, the majority of the country is off. What are you doing to prepare? You already know where the gaps are, for the most part, depending on whether or not you're off of school. What are you doing to attack those things? The only suggestion that I can have for you is focus on what your strength is as a leader. If it's a brand new moment, a brand new chair in a brand new school, what is your strength? And make sure that you focus on that. When I became a principal for the first time, the school was, I guess, it's an organic show. It was so out of control, they had 2 principals running the school. Can I repeat that again? Doc, could you imagine that? You walking in, and there's 2 principals running the school? That's how much chaos was there? You might be walking into that, right? That might be one of the opportunities that you have. And then don't ever say, hey, the only place it could go is up. No, it could go down too. So what is your strength? What will be your rituals and routines? What is your vision to make sure that you win over those kids? Because once you win over the kids, then you're going to win over the adults. Those are my thoughts, taking into consideration that with the vision that you bring into the table and believing yourself, this is the most important time that you really talk to that self and you talk to yourself. You don't listen to yourself. Let me repeat that again. You talk to yourself, you don't listen to yourself, because we know that when we listen, it's all the negativity, right? The brain talks to you, oh my God, this is going to happen. And the board member is this, and blah, blah, blah. And the community is this, and this is where we live. And there's no. You got this. You interview for it. This is yours. Believe in what you bring to the table, because there was a committee of people that believed in you, number one. And number two, there was a superintendent that believed in you. They believed in you to make sure that you go in there and you fix the problem. And you say, oh, I'm walking into an A school. Whoa, that's the hardest one. You're walking into an A school. Hey, baby, you better maintain that A. You better not go down to a B. Oh, Lord, you better not go down to a C. So pick your poison, as they say. In the end, you need to do what's strong with your vision, number one. And number two, you need to do what's right for kids. As long as you do that, you will always be guided by that heart that you have in you. And you always do right for your kids, for yourself, for your community, for everything that's around you. Just believe in yourself. I would suggest focus on what you're strong at and accentuate the positive. An idea as I close this Chinchagua moment. You got the scores, right? I don't know. Every state is different. In Texas, we've got 4 ratings. You didn't pass. You've got approaches, which is like below average, but you still passed it. You got meets, you're a grade level, and you got the mastery, right? What I started to do when I arrived there with our team members, our administrators, we started making home visits for every kid that got masters, because that was very low. It was a D- campus with 2,550 kids. I needed to make sure that people knew I value academics. I value the hard work that kids did. I went to their houses, knocked on those doors, and they're like, who is that? I've never met that guy. He's not our principal. There's 2 principals there. What is your passion? What do you want to promote the second that you get that chair? Hey, if you got any questions, social media right here, baby. A lot of the guests right here, I've never met them face to face. I just met them through social media, just like Chuck. Chuck, follow Chuck. Chuck motivates you every morning. He gives you a motivational thought every day. I'm at the gym, I'm listening to Chuck. Doesn't matter. You're never alone. You choose to be alone. Social media will always guide you. There's podcasts, there's different avenues for your success, but follow and believe in yourself, believe in the words, and someone trusted you. So keep that in the back of your mind as you got the chair, whether it be an assistant principal chair or the principal chair. So today's assistant principal number 4. And so if you want to go back, you go back to our episode 45, episode 30, and episode 16 of the assistant principal roundtable. But without further ado, that's enough of me talking, because it don't matter what I'm saying. I just got some ideas, and I just like talking about those ideas because you know what? They're successful. And we all know this. Welcome, panel. We all know that we believe in listening to people that have been successful, right? We learn from their success. It's about making sure that we do those things. And we have great panel guests today. So I'm going to go around. As you all know, I don't have no producer in the background. I'm going to mute myself and open up all the social media sites that we have right now. But I'd like to start off with Dr. Sonia A. Matthews, who's been following the show. Never met her. I reached out to her via social media. Would you like to be on the show? And she's here. We're never alone. And she brings a lot of value. If you follow her, you follow Gerard, David, Chuck, you're going to follow and get a lot of knowledge. So welcome to the show, panel. Dr. Sonia, I would like to ask you, give everybody, it was time to drop some street cred out there. Let the audience know who you are, what roles you served, and out of these roles that you served, coaching, teaching, obviously assistant principal, which one was your favorite one and why? Go.
Oh, wow. So, hey, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Josh, for this invitation. So my name is Dr. Sonia Matthew, and I am an assistant principal in Southern Maryland. I've been an assistant principal now for 4 years, so two years in middle, and this is my second year in elementary. My favorite, I've taught teacher leader, talent and gifted coordinator, reading specialist, teacher mentor, teacher coach. And so through all of that, I would say my favorite position is the assistant principal position by far. Yes, because I am able to really affect people. I can affect the children, a whole bunch of children, families, staff members, all of that. So I like that mentorship aspect of my leadership as an assistant principal.
Thank you for sharing. Exactly. There's a little special honor you just recently received. I don't know. Brings a little bit. Please share with the audience. Tell them about what you earned.
Yes, very humbled to have received the 2025 Maryland's National Assistant Principal Award of the Year through MEESP, which is the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals, and NAESP, which stands for the National Association of Elementary School Principals.
Awesome. Congratulations. Hard work and dedication. And obviously the love of your peers brought you that. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you and value you. If you don't know this cat over there right next to her, this guy's every morning on TikTok. I'm like, whoa, that guy woke up before me. Chuck, talk to the audience. Let them know what roles you served and which one has been your favorite.
Well, my name is Chuck Moss. This is my 30th year in education, 8th grade teacher, civics and English. Taught 4th grade, was a football and wrestling coach, and a stint as a softball coach. I became an elementary assistant principal, served there for a couple of years, then moved on to the middle school assistant principalship, then went back in the classroom for a couple of years because I really felt like I wasn't effectively delivering professional development on technology. So I thought instead of just giving them the stuff, let me make sure I know how to use it. So I spent 2 years back in the classroom and learned how to learn to walk the walk, and went back into administration. From there, served as an assistant principal. I've been a principal of an elementary school, a principal of a middle school, a school board director, and now I'm back in the role of assistant principal because my grant-funded directorship ended, and the only way to stay in the current county I was in was to take the administrative opening that was available, and that was assistant principal. And I have spent a year relearning a lot of lessons I had forgotten. I'm also a speaker. I do some keynote speaking and that sort of thing. My favorite role is probably coming out of that keynote speaking because the idea of being able to motivate people, don't be afraid to be awesome. I talk about that all the time. And that's one of my favorite things is just it's like my why, to bring out the best in people so that they can bring out the best in other people.
Thank you for sharing that. Exactly. Please make sure you follow that guy right there. He will motivate you early in the morning. Welcome to the show, the great PR person that is McKeever Jeter from the Fantastic Four family. Thank you for being here. I'm having issues with Facebook again. I had it last week. I deactivated it. I turned it back on again. I relinked it, and it's not showing. So I'm going to be messing with it. I might not have Facebook feed right now, but I do have the YouTube one out there. Out of California. Hey, my man, you know what? Our hearts and love is sent out always to California. David Stagg, talk to us. What roles have you served, and which one has been your favorite one?
Oh, I've served many roles. Primarily elementary teacher, K through 5, taught every grade except for kindergarten and second grade for at least 1 year. Reading specialist, K through 12. Finished up my 3rd year as assistant principal at Susquehanna Township Middle School here in Pennsylvania, not California. But so working there, my favorite position so far has been assistant principal, just because you get there, build the relationships with the kids, the families, other stakeholders, and you get to, I don't know if I have onset adult ADD, but I can't sit in my office too long, and kids are surprised when I'm in my office, but I get to bounce around the building, in the rooms, in the hallways, and just be free as a bird.
Awesomeness. Great job. Thank you for being out there. Visibility. Rule number 1 of an assistant principal. It's crucial. Visibility. What about the principal? Yeah, let that cat be in his office, or that lady, because you know what? The kids need to see you, baby. I know what I'm telling you. I did those roles for 13 years. I met this young man at Region 10 in Texas, Jernard Griggs. Talk to us.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Jernard Griggs, Dallas, Texas. Been in education 15 years and been an AP for the last 4. Been in administration 5. I was previously athletic director at a high school. I've been a head basketball coach, CTE teacher. So I've had various roles, department head, etc. I think the biggest joy I get was being a head basketball coach was my greatest joy, because it introduced me to leadership. So it introduced me into not only coaching players, but coaching adults, because now I'm responsible for a whole staff and making sure that my program's goals align with the campus goals and the principal. So it really kind of led me into leadership. And then one day my principal was like, hey, we're going to be, all the admin are going to be gone tomorrow. You're going to be AP tomorrow. I'm like, what? So the only thing I knew to do was go to work the next day and put on a suit. And I was just walking around, not really knowing what to do. But it opened up the door for me getting into leadership. And being an AP at the middle school is most challenging. It's rewarding. Like I said, I help people grow. So now I coach my teachers. So I coach them up. And then kids find out that I used to coach. They're like, wow, we just thought you woke up and you were a principal one day. So I think that's kind of been most rewarding so far in my career.
Thank you for sharing those stories, guys. Appreciate it. Now let's get a little bit more street cred out there, because people, our field. Come on, guys, our field, especially when you're brand new, right? You walk into that building, they're like, "Who's that? What do they know about us? They've never been in this part of the district. They've never been at this grade level." So let's find out a little bit more about yourself. So Chuck, what motivated you to become an educator? What inspired you? Because you know what, we just don't become an AP, we just don't become a director or a principal. Something got that thing in us to go grade papers, to go create back in the Stone Age, those scantrons,
Right?
One of those kind of things. So Chuck, what made you become an educator? Number one, and number two, how was your first year in the classroom?
Well, what made me become an educator, what motivated me was my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Peter White, was the teacher that everybody wanted. I don't remember a thing that I learned in his class to tell you, but I do know this. I loved his class. I loved every minute in there. I was treated like an adult. I was treated as someone who could appreciate humor. I was treated as someone whose opinion valued. And all the kids in that school wanted Mr. White for 5th grade. So I decided that I wanted to be that person that all the kids would want to have. And so I stuck with that 5th grade all the way up to college, and then I student taught in a middle school. And I realized very quickly, these are my people. And I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it, that feedback from the kids, their willingness to have conversations. And then a couple of kids that were really struggling, had been struggling their whole middle school career, I got through to them and I was able to have conversations with them. And that made me think, this is probably the right thing. I've chosen the exact right place to be. And so from there, it was a no-brainer for me just to stick with middle school. And so out of all the years that I taught, only 1 year was not in a middle school. And there's something about middle school kids, those of you that have been involved in, you got to love them when they're at their least lovable. And, I talk about how sometimes, it's like being on a subway. In elementary school, you get that light in the back of the tunnel. In high school, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And in middle school, you're kind of in the turn. There's no light on either end. The light's got to come from the people who are in the train with you. And that's going to be your teacher. That I wanted to be the person that was giving off the most light, that was able to shine the light on those kids. And again, in middle schools, has got a special place in my heart. I feel like I could be an administrator at any level, but if I ever go back in the classroom, it's going to be middle school.
Love it. Jernard?
I'm sorry, Josh. What did you want me to talk about?
Let us know who or what motivated you to become an educator? And number two, how was your first year in the classroom?
My first year in the classroom was pretty easy. I had already been subbing before, so it wasn't, now I was getting paid more, honestly. But what motivated me, I guess, and I'm going to kind of date myself, even though I was a little kid. My grandfather was a coach. He retired in 1986. But my mom and my grandmother are also teachers. So I remember them coming home and studying for this test called the TCAT back in the day. And the TCAT, for whatever reason, was a test to see if teachers actually could teach. So I guess they didn't have to be certified. So my grandmother and mom are coming home and they're studying. And I'm like, this is boring. Why do I have to be quiet? Because you're studying for a test. But it showed me the importance of them being lifelong learners. And all my grandfather's friends, his golfing buddies, were coaches. And I just thought you could just go to school and coach football and basketball. And then as I got older and I figured out what was required, it made me want to go down that road as well. And one of my grandfather's friends, Coach Haynes in Waco, is 90 years old. And when I call him a lifelong friend, this is a guy that has, seen my grandfather, been around and coached with him. But that's the impact that an educator can have on somebody and they don't even know it.
Facts. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Dr. Sonia A. Matthew.
Yeah, so I grew up in Ottawa, Canada. I was always that student who couldn't sit still. I talked a lot and I got in trouble a lot, all the way through high school, even college. So when I was in school, in college, my first year, I actually was on academic probation. And it was one person, her name is Doris Kiefner. She told me, if you can make an A, if you can make an F, you can make an A. And it just showed me in that moment the power of mentorship, the power of building people up, and how even one person can do that, right? So I became a transitions leader. So the very thing that she was for me, I became that in my second year of college. Of course, I went to school in Ottawa, Canada. And I just felt that I needed to now go back and be that teacher that I did not have, not only with my behavior. I had a severe stuttering impediment. I did not speak English till I was in the second grade. So it was the behavior, it was the identity. I was pretty much the only non-white student throughout all of my classroom experience. My teachers were predominantly white. There were no teachers who looked like me. So I just became very passionate about this work. And so I was recruited when I finished with my college, my B.Ed, my bachelor's in education in Ottawa. That was when I was recruited, just when I finished my degree. So I was recruited to actually come to Texas. Yes, Dr. Patricia Lyons, she's like my second mom. She's now retired, but at that time she was the head of HR in Temple ISD. So I worked in Temple for a couple of years and then went up to Dallas and went back down to Killeen. And so I was in Texas for 10 years. And I am here now in Maryland because of my husband's military move. So.
Got it. Exactly. Thank you. How was that first year in the classroom?
The first year was very difficult. It was very difficult, but I'm grateful for those difficult experience. The kids were difficult. I really didn't know. I didn't really know. Teachers College does not really prepare you. So that's when I really became that learner. That's where I really tried to figure out what approaches do I use, and just I think that reflective muscle was really born that first year. So I just became an active learner, trying things out, going back, reflecting, a lot of tears. But it does, those experiences do make you better, no matter what role you're in education, because it is a challenging journey going from, anything in education, teaching, 'cause there's always changes. So I think it's important to embrace those challenges along the way and take out those learning lessons throughout those experiences.
Thank you. And you know what? Thank you for being so vulnerable. Appreciate that. I think that all cert people that are coming into the field need to hear that, because there's a lot of, they don't have the confidence going from industry to the classroom. And they need to know that even though we came in from the traditional pathway, we still had issues. We still had obstacles to overcome. And that's a great thing. Jernard did a great thing just like I did. I was a substitute for a year and a half. And it really gives you that armor when you go one day to kindergarten and the next day you're with seniors. And then the next day you're at middle school. And you're always fluctuating. It really allows you to be ready for the number one thing, which is a classroom climate and culture that is established by that teacher you're substituting for. So thank you for sharing. Hey, Dot, I know I'm having problems with Facebook. Thank you for letting me know. You got to keep on following me on YouTube. I have no idea what's happening. I'll try to fix it over the week till the next show. David, what motivated you to become an educator, and how was your first year?
All right. I'm not sure. I was a teacher. George Wilbur, my world cultures teacher, Latin teacher. I took 4 years of Latin because I liked the teacher. Not that I can do anything with Latin or was planning on doing anything Latin, but I liked him. He came with the passion, taught world cultures. We did toga. He wore a toga to teach it. He always had these flashy shirts and ties, which I try to mimic to this day, wearing flashy clothing to get the kids talking, good or bad about me, but at least they're talking. So he's kind of my inspiration. And I figured I've had some great teachers. I've had some good teachers, and I had some bad teachers. So I figured if I could replace one bad teacher in the cycle and make a difference in a kid's life, that'd be worth it for me. My first year, I remember in public school was trial by fire. I got hired 3 days before the start of the school year to teach in a trailer outside, 5th grade. Teachers were taking bets of when I was going to quit. All the other teachers taking bets of when I was going to quit, because my kids were that first year were the leftovers, the crumbs of the whole 5th grade pod. So I had some real challenging students that year, which I did not quit. I'm here 20 some years later, and those kids made me better for going through that experience my first year. So,
hey, Dave, thank you for being vulnerable, because those are the kind of things that our current educators, with so many of us leaving in such a new brand batch, literally coming in, they need to hear the stories. We didn't have it all down. It took a while to get that going, especially when you're dealing with a variable that's known as a kid. Those kids bring us a variable every minute, some of us every second, and it's how we adjust to that. Greetings. Thank you, Jeff Milner from Virginia, for being here. Constance Sherrard, thank you for being here from the Fantastic Four family. I want you guys to finish this sentence. Talk to yourself your first year. Jernard, I'm going to you, okay? I want you to finish this sentence, all right? Hey, me, I'm glad you just became an AP, but be aware that.
Be aware of your principal not respecting your boundaries. I think if I knew, and I knew it then, but trying to be a team player, and I'm the only male administrator on campus with 4 other fantastic female administrators. But I get thrust into a lot of situations that I probably shouldn't have to handle. So if I go back, and it's just funny because we just talked about this with my dean. My principal did an owner's manual for all teachers and staff my first year, and kind of like, how do you respond? How do you work well? Everything I put, she has not followed. And I probably wish I would have stayed firm on that a little bit more.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. That's a lot. Hey, you know what? This is an organic show. You put out there what you feel comfortable with. Dr. Sonia A. Matthew, talk to yourself. Hey, me, I am glad you just became an AP, but be aware.
Be aware that it did not happen unless it was documented.
If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. Facts. Awesome. Hey, Mr. Chuck, early in the morning TikTok master, talk to yourself. Say, hey, me, I'm glad you just became an AP, but be aware that.
Be aware that no matter how good your relationship is with a parent, when it comes to you or their kid, they're always going to go with the kid.
Facts. Especially with this garbage right here.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, we didn't have that. If I had to talk to myself the first year that I was on social media, I would say to myself what I say to my teachers. It doesn't matter where you post from. It only matters where they know you from.
There you go. David Stack, talk to yourself. You just became an assistant principal. Tell yourself, hey, me, I'm glad you just became an AP, but be aware that.
Everyone thinks they can do your job better. You always have Monday morning quarterbacks.
Mic drop. That's a mic drop.
So you better be able to roll up your sleeves and do the work alongside of them, or go above and beyond and do work they're not willing to do to show them that, and admit your mistakes. Hey, sometimes you're going to be wrong. I tell my staff all the time, I'm not perfect. I wasn't an all-star teacher. I was, I thought of myself as a above average teacher, but I wasn't like no super rock star teacher. So, admit that and say, hey, we're learning together. Let's go.
Love it. Thank you again for the honesty. That's what makes the PGP podcast amazing. So we have this. My next question goes into what Constance says right here. And so there's always that debate, that inner struggle. As I tell our students, your issue is not outside. It's always you versus you. Whatever it is. It's not the star quarterback has this. It's not that the student council person has this. The valedictorian does this. No. It's always you versus you. And it's also with us. So my question to you is, David, is this. When did you say, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring? When did you say, I want to take that leap? And what triggered that? What triggered you wanting to go to the chair? What triggered you? And when was it the right time?
Well, there's two. Back in 2009, when I first got my principal's certificate, I applied everywhere and anywhere. And no, not, you don't have experience, stuff like that. I didn't become a principal till 3 years ago, when a friend of mine who was moving into the principal's chair called me up and said, hey, I got an assistant principal job opening. I think you should apply. And back in my mind, he tried to get me to come to his school a couple different times in different positions. It just never worked out. But in the back of my mind, I knew someday I was going to work for him and work with him. And he said, apply, So I did. It was the right timing, right fit. And, after hundreds of no's, I got the one yes. And it was like, I wake up every day wanting to go to work. There's not a day the past 3 years I was like, oh my God, I got to go to work. So you just got to wait for the right opportunity. It's going to find you.
Love it. Make sure you follow that cat right there on LinkedIn. He does a lot of those pictures, posting all the fun that he has at work. Gernard, who motivated you and what was the trigger, my man?
I think who motivated me? Probably two people. A friend of mine I'm going to tell everybody to follow is Dr. Des Stewart. He is the Gainesville ISD superintendent. He's a guy that's like a second brother to me, but I've watched him progress into the superintendent role, and he's had multiple administrative roles, and I've kind of tried to, pattern my career after him. And then, I just do things for my grandparents. I was raised pretty much by my grandmother, my grandfather. He died when I was 10. But once again, going back to, you don't know how many people are looking at you and watching you grow as you grow up from a child into a young adult into a man. And even today, a lot of his coaching buddies who are still living, like, man, your grandfather be so proud of you. People that know you would be so proud of you, because I have a past, like Jay-Z says, not pretty, but I think that's what makes me relatable to the students. what you see is what you get. I'm very authentic. I don't sugarcoat, and I'm very blunt. But that's helped me in education, dealing with those parents who believe their kids are always right. I'm quick to tell you, no, ma'am, they're not. And this is where we're going to do things. And always supporting the principal, because like I tell my principal, I don't want your job, I don't want your seat. But if I get into my own seat, I know what to do and I know the things to look for. So I just take motivation from multiple places.
Got it right there. Dr. Sonia, talk to us. Who motivated you and what triggered that application to go in?
Yeah, just like Jernard, I too have received a lot of motivation from different people, but I would think of my dad as being my main cheerleader and my motivator, coming from India in the 70s and just having to navigate so many of those obstacles as an immigrant and seeing, not realizing it as a kid, but just coming full circle to realize just what it took, like all the adversity, all of the struggles, the sacrifices. So in my reflection, knowing that both of my parents, their only desire for their children is to do better than them. And the only reason they, immigrated to Canada is for their kids. So for me, I hold on to that, and I just want to make sure that I can make the greatest impact possible. And so, of course, going up that leadership chain in order to do that is really what I'm supposed to do for my parents, but also just to really make sure that I'm living out that legacy that they planted, for sure.
How beautiful. How beautiful. Thank you. That's very inspiring on Father's Day. Thank you very much. Chuck, talk to me,
Yes,
man. What happened with you?
Well, I was coming up on my 10th year in the classroom, and I could feel that I wanted something different, but I didn't want to not be doing something with kids. And I thought back to the person who helped me get through middle school, which was Weldon Bradshaw. And he was the headmaster of the school I was at for, starting in 8th grade. And he has no idea the impact he has. Although I still talk to him all the time and try to tell him, he doesn't understand the impact that he had on me. And I just saw, I don't know, there was a void for that kind of leadership, that kind of support for kids and for teachers where I was. And I just kind of decided I'm going to be able to fill that void. And so then a possibility opened up to get a master's through a program sponsored by my school in part. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take it. And it worked out. I was right where I was and spent another 7 years in that same county after I got my degree.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Different background, different ideas, different initiatives, everything. And you know what, audience out there, this is a time that people are looking at the job postings. People are looking for that. So you got these guests right here. You have the other 3 round tables. I ask them the same question. So go pick their brain. They already went through your challenge, that you versus you concept. Are you being inspired by a family member? Is there a superintendent or someone that was your peer that motivated you? Is it your community? What is it? Only you know what will be the trigger for you to submit that application right there. And David mentioned it perfectly right now in his response that everybody knows how to do your job, man. Ooh, Lord. Everybody's the best assistant principal out there. Ooh, my Lord. Especially the Weebies. Do you guys know who the Weebies are? Have you heard of Jernard? Have you heard of the Weebies? The Weebies are in every campus. Dr. Sonia Matthew, do you know who the Weebies are? No, you don't? David, in California, I know there's a lot of Weebies. You know the Weebies? No? All right, here we go, guys. There's this small group of people, like around 5 or less. They're the Weebies, the ones that say, I ain't doing that. We be here before you. We be here after.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the Weebies, all right?
You didn't ask me, Josh.
Chuck,
I knew who the Weebies were.
Chuck, you followed me enough to hear me about the Weebies.
Oh, yeah, I know who the Weebies are.
Exactly. Well, my question is this, and we'll start off with you, Sonia, is the following. You, us as assistant principal, you get a parent out there, hey, coach out there, hey, crosswalk person, cashier, you have no idea the hundreds of interactions we have with kids daily. Hundreds. You know, hundreds. Yes, hundreds. Just walking down the hallway, we could do like 30 of them. They might be 3 or 4 seconds, but let me tell you, we're making connections with those kids. During lunch duty, get out of here. You have no idea. We have at least 100 or 200 right there during lunchtime. We might not even say anything, just making eye contact. We make connections with kids. Even if you're good, if you look at a piece of trash that he dropped or she dropped and they pick it up, you got that. You got that street cred with that kid right there. So my question is this. We'll start off with you, Sonia. You know what? Out of the thousands and thousands of interactions you had this past year, tell the audience one beautiful interaction that you had that just totally inspired your spirit, and tell them one thing that I should have handled that better. You know, I learned from this mistake of I should have handled this situation a little bit better. Go ahead.
So for the one that the first part of the question was the one that made me proud, right? The one, okay, so there's a student, it's definitely hard. I always try to be mindful of how much time I'm spending with my students because I don't want them to think that I'm favoring one over the other. So I try to really kind of be mindful of that, but also be mindful of those students who are not necessarily in a group and they tend to be alone and just kind of doing their own thing. So this particular student, her name is Claire. So she is always drawing on her little sketch pad. And so one day I just happened to ask her what she was drawing, and she just went into this whole thing about anime and her passion and how, you know, she's going to be doing a YouTube channel. And it was just so deep. I mean, she had so much to share with me. And she ended up, we just had our 5th grade promotion. So I had her lead a group to actually create our cover for our promotion program. And when I say she is just so empowered by just that little bit of time of asking her those questions, the last day of school, she was so sad. And I said, listen, why don't you draw? She said, I'm drawing a character of you, and it's a fox. And so she had her whole reason of why it's a fox, and she gave it to me. I said, I need you to make sure you write your full name and the date so I can keep it, because I'm going to be following up with you. I'm going to be checking that YouTube channel. So that was really powerful. As far as a situation, doing something differently with a student and my interactions with them, you know, we don't know, especially with the elementary kids. So I was at middle school, so it's kind of different with them. But with the elementary students, especially 4th and 5th grade, there's a lot of sensitivity sometimes. So there's been times where just kind of appearing maybe aloof sometimes and really not meaning to be that way because we're so busy. So I can think of those moments where kids, one example is a student came into my office to just bring me something that I left in the room. And I was so busy in that moment that I did not really even acknowledge. I said, okay, well, thank you, just leave it there, right? And then a kindergarten teacher came in and said, you know what, Dr. Matthew, he really loves you. And I thought in that moment, wow, that child did not have to come all the way down to my office, but he wanted to because he wanted to spend that time with me, even that little bit of time. So that made me realize that we have to seize the moment and know that our to-do list for all our aspiring APs out there, the to-do list is never ending. It's constantly growing. You can come into the schoolhouse in the morning and think you're going to conquer that to-do list. Well, guess what? Your to-do list is going to be still there, and you're going to have more. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to manage your time. That's a whole nother podcast, right? But taking that moment, because that moment is putting in those doses of trust. So actually depositing into our students and knowing that those moments do matter to them. There's a whole bunch of them. There's only one of us, but we just have to be mindful, I think.
Thank you. Hey, guilty. I agree. We've all done that. Yeah, mijo, leave it right there. Thank you. I got you. Guilty. Gotcha. David, talk to us. One awesome glowing experience and one like, should have handled that. It doesn't have to be student. You could be a parent, a cheerleading mom. I don't know.
I was gonna say, happened within the last week of school. I got my makeup done during lunch duty. A group of girls were sitting in the booth doing their makeup, so I sat down beside them. And they're like, "Mr. Stack, you want your makeup done? You want your eyeliner done?" Took my glasses off. Said, "Go ahead, ladies, have at it." So, I got to do it. And I said, "Great, my son's graduating tonight. I'll look my best, and everyone will be happy." So I walked around lunch with my eyeliner and mascara done. It did run. I wasn't crying or anything, but apparently it does. Ladies, I don't know how they do it, but looking beautiful is hard work. And so I went back. I had to wipe it off and went back to my ugly self. So that's always a good moment when kids are doing something, and hey, go ahead. So I'm sure that was a first time experience for them. Not a first time experience with me. I've had my nails painted in lunch duty, stuff like that. So, and
something you could have handled better.
Something I had better would be go back to lunch duty. A fight almost broke out. I was the only adult in there. My two parents that were in there took the students out. Had 200 and some kids in the room. I had to calm them down. It's like anyone who gets out of their seat, you're getting out of here. You're going to ISS. So student got up and to throw away trash, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Raise my voice. "What are you doing?" And then we kind of had a verbal back and forth. And I don't like to have that in front of that big of audience. But at that time, I was amped up because I'm like, "Oh, I'm having a mini riot here with, a fight almost breaking out. 200 kids are like egging it on." So, amp me up where it took 2 days, but she came back and we made amends and she understood where I was coming from. And she said, "I'm sorry. I should have been listening better. And I apologize too. I know you're a good kid and your intention wasn't to stir the pot anymore. You were just throwing away trash. But, in that situation, I just needed everyone to sit and calm down and relax the situation." So unfortunately, once in a while, I do lose my composure in different situations, but I usually go back and make amends with the student and apologize. So at the end of the day, we're all good.
Thank you for sharing that. Gernard, talk to us. One awesome event, and then you're like, "Oh man, fumble."
It's funny, you don't know which kids like you until certain things happen. So normally there's a lot of kids I don't even get a chance to talk to, but two situations stood out to me. One 6th grade girl came up to me at the beginning of this year, and it's kind of, glowing, but kind of wish I would have handled it better. She came to me, she tapped me, she said, "I know you." I'm like, who's this little 6th grade girl? She's like, "You don't know me?" I said, "No." She was like, "Well, my sister had you for 3 years and she told me all about you." So I wish I would have handled it better because, I forget I'm not in high school anymore. So I can be a little abrupt, and it kind of scared her a little bit, but she ended up being one of my best little students, and I love her to death. And then another one was, we have assistant principals week or admin week, and there are kids who drawn me pictures and written me notes that said, "You're great." And I still, if they walked in front of me, would not know who they are. And I'm like, "How do you even know me?" They said, "Well, you make the school safe and you always take care of the bad kids." Okay, thank you. So those are two situations that, have really stood out. And then like everybody, like David and, Sonia mentioned, you have situations where you're caught up in the day. You're doing walkthroughs. You have a parent, you have a 504 meeting, and this kid wants to come talk to you and you're very dismissive, not intentionally, but because you're caught up in your day. And sometimes, like they brought out, is these kids just want some attention because they don't get it. They don't get it at home. And if they don't get it at home, if they don't get it in school, they're going to get it in a negative way somewhere else. So just kind of wishing, you are mindful of those situations when a kid is just really trying to, reach out to you just for some quality time and being more receptive to that.
Thank you for those blessings, those events in your professional life. Chuck, close us out.
My great thing starts off in kind of a bad place. We were having to do a threat assessment on a second grader, and we got to the question that says, is there an adult you feel confident that you can talk to and you feel safe with? He said, yeah, Mr. Moss. And I thought to myself, I don't know that he and I have had more than, hey, have a great day when he gets out of the car, and hope he had a great day when he got back in the car. But knowing that made me just mindful of the fact that the impact I have, just because, like Jannard said, you're the person that makes the school safe. You're the person that they see taking care of the kids. He was right there. He understood that. He understood that better than I did. And so it really made me be thoughtful about that. Something I could have handled better. Our field day this year, we had a fifth grader who was just, when his events were called, he wasn't paying attention to that. He wasn't where he needed to be. I kept finding him on the third grade side of the field rather than the fifth grade field. And I finally just read him the riot act, and he went back over to his teacher and put his head down. And I went on about what I was doing. And later on, I found out that the reason he was doing what he was doing is because his mom promised him that she was coming and she wasn't there. And I realized that I'm the bad guy in that story because I didn't take time to understand what was going on. I was prioritizing the fact that we got a system, and if there's going to be a system, you got to stay in the system, or my job is to, and that was a moment where it shouldn't have been about systems. It should have been about the kid.
Thank you. It's so true. That's happened to a lot of us. Though we're human beings. We're flawed. We get caught up in the minutia of the day, and we do forget about the feelings of our kids sometimes because we're caught up in the big mass thing, especially on the football field when you've got third grade and fifth grade out there. Get out of town. That's another.
Oh, and fourth grade was out there too. I mean, it was. Yeah, there's a lot happening.
Exactly. Gotcha. Hey, big shout out to Da Costa Ahiro from the country of Ghana. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And yes, Mr. A.D. Fashawn, the kids do know us. Exactly. They do know. So let's start off with Jannard right here on this next question right now. This can take 7 hours, and we're not going to take 7 hours. It's Father's Day. You need to go get seconds and thirds. All right. So tell briefly the audience on what your philosophy on discipline is. All right. I asked that question because obviously if you ever do a gallery walk where your team members put the little dots, and I do that often, and you give scenarios, they're not in tune. And then I show them, you see all those little dots? You expect me to be universal? I can't. If you guys don't know simple things, discipline is such a slippery slope with so many people. Bad words, profanity. What one person thinks is bad, another person says, oh, we say it every day at dinner. So discipline is one of those things. So how do you approach discipline? And you don't have to go real deep into this, because what you're doing is you're trying to help people that want to be administrators, people that are in their first year, they've just got hired in January, and they're still fine-tuning their craft. So what is your approach to discipline and support of our teachers in the classroom? And second, how do you come across when I say this? What is your angle? Because every campus, every district has a system of walkthroughs. What we do in Texas is going to be totally different in each district. I'm not even going to mention Maryland. I'm not even going to talk about Virginia or California. Some of those states have unions. And so it's different things on how we approach discipline and walkthroughs. So just give us like a little Cliff Notes version of what your philosophy or vision is for discipline in the classroom, supporting teachers, and walkthroughs.
It's simple. I would tell any admin to remember this: fair is not equal, but you can always be consistent. What's fair? If I have a freshman coming into school and they might miss class because they didn't know where the bathroom was, they didn't know where their class was. My level of accountability for them is not going to be high as a senior, junior, or senior. So a parent might not understand why I gave a freshman from the kids version, why the freshman didn't get in trouble, and the senior did. Well, you don't understand the dynamics. But one thing we can always do is be consistent. So what looks unfair to others, I don't worry about. I know I consistently address the issues. When it comes to the classroom, I just live by some simple rules. I don't play about respect. You do not get to disrespect my teachers, my staff, or any body on my campus. If I see that, I address it. And discipline does not have to be a formal punishment. Discipline, like, hey, Josh, I saw you do that. I need you to go take care of that. Talk to that teacher. I just disciplined you. I corrected the behavior. But one thing we cannot do is, I hate to see adults ignore behavior. Ignoring behavior does not make them go away. You have to address it. Quick conversation and you keep walking. A lot of times I have conversations with teachers and staff members and I don't break stride. But they know that my message got across. Walkthroughs here in Texas, in Grand Prairie, we're a T-Test district. So we handle our walkthroughs. I go into it the mindset of how can I help the teacher? What can I help them fine tune? I don't go in there with a heavy hand looking to criticize. If there's some things that we need to fine tune, let's go over them. If I see an issue in the classroom, I'm going to address it while you're teaching. And then if we need to discuss it, in a coaching session or PLC, we'll do it. But mainly my role is there to be the administrative professional and to coach you into doing what you are supposed to do. So that's my mindset, really more of a coaching and helping you grow.
Thank you for sharing that. And especially the thought, hey, team members out there, discipline is not a 2 assistant principal, 1 assistant principal thing. It's all of us. Let me repeat that again. It's all of us. And if you've got a whole hallway that everyone is following the rules, but 2 team members are chop blocking the whole hallway, that creates, as Jimmy Casas calls, an undercurrent of toxicity. And then we have to deal with it because you chose to be the cool teacher that allows the cell phone. You're the cool teacher that during tardy sweeps, you allow them in after the tardy sweep bell. That's not teamwork. So you got my back, I got your back, but let's be consistent. So Jernard, thank you for mentioning that. David, talk to us.
Be consistent, show grace when you can, be restorative. Don't punish just to punish. Like I have kids that do something, tear up the bathroom. All right, so we're not going to do an out-of-school suspension, the detention, whatever. We're going to go in there and clean it up. Let's go get some gloves. Let's go get a broom from the janitor. Whatever we need to do, put some work in. I've had students write me paragraphs, essays. It doesn't always have to be punishment where they're taken out of the classroom or out of the school or something like that, where, try to be restorative, try to change the behavior. Don't just punish to punish, because that doesn't work.
Right.
What about walkthroughs?
Walkthroughs, looking for just consistent. I know consistency, address the behavior that you see, whether it's an adult behavior, because sometimes it's not a kid issue, it's an adult issue, because they're allowing set standards to be broken and not addressing it. So they're waiting for someone else to address it. So that just makes, like you said, toxicity. It makes it harder for everyone else in the building when you're not pulling your own weight.
Okay. Chuck, talk to me in Virginia.
I'm hearing, the difference between discipline and punishment. And I 100% agree with that. Our job is to, address the behavior and create a situation where kids make better decisions. And you don't do that through punishment. You do that through discipline. And you got to be consistent. I think that's very true. And understanding the situation is key, because sometimes in the moment, someone's reaction may have nothing to do with what's happening, but what's happened to them until they got to that point. As far as the walkthroughs go and whatnot, my job is to go in and help teachers where they might have a need. But, I can't go from the aspect of the assumption that every time I had a walkthrough, everything was straight. I've got to make sure that I go from a perspective of, okay, where's an area where you need some help? Sometimes I like to ask teachers that even before, say, if I come in your classroom, what's something you want me to look for? What's something you want me to key in on? Because then I can go from a place where, look, I'm looking to be helpful, and I'm not gonna create an area where you need help. I'm gonna ask you, what do you need help with? And then my job is to coach you up in that.
I love that, Chuck. I love it. Awesome. Dr. Sonia A. Matthew.
Yeah, so everyone had some really valuable nuggets. The only things I could think of to really add is number one, communication. I think it's important to communicate, and that looks like active listening. So asking the teachers questions about just getting to know them in the beginning, especially being new to a campus as an AP. It's important to be highly visible. It's important to really get to know your teachers and be interested in them, so that when you're coming in for those walkthroughs, there's already that trust. You have to have trust. So the question becomes, how do you foster that trust? How do you build it? So asking questions, showing concern, coming back and saying, if the teacher is telling you about a family member, you're actually coming back and checking in on that family member. The same thing goes with students, getting to know them, listening to what their interests are, what makes them happy, what brings them joy. And then when you do that with intentionality, now you are really fostering relationships for the adults and the students. And now discipline becomes easier, because now you're able, there's a respect that's being established. So I think it, goes both for the students and the staff, the teachers, communicating clearly, communicating often, making sure that whatever policy you're putting into place, making sure that everybody understands it. So it's a discipline policy, making sure that they understand what progressive discipline looks like. What are those interventions? Are we clear on those different tiered interventions and why we use them? So it's not, the follow through is important in both the discipline and with those visits in the classroom. So clear communication, follow through, consistency, building relationships, and being intentional with those relationships, asking those questions, showing care and concern, so that when we do have the discipline, when we do have to have those crucial conversations with our teachers, we've already established that trust.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I think that answer covers both the walkthroughs and the discipline, because they go hand in hand. It's awesome right there. So let's start off with here, Gernard. Let me ask you this question right now. Back in the Mesozoic era, when I started being an assistant principal, our superintendent took out the job. What is it? The job duties of an assistant principal, and it was font 0.555, and it had 7,000 sentences on there. Mm-hmm. And it had the beautiful, I don't know about others. In Texas, we had this beautiful clause. I don't know about Maryland. I don't know about California, Virginia, or North Carolina, South Carolina, Wyoming. But there's that beautiful clause, and other duties as assigned. Yeah, it's a universal clause right there. So he said, there is no way that we can one human being can do all this. The superintendent told us that. And as a young assistant principal, eating my Brontosaurus burger, I'm like, oh, that is a lot, that is a lot of duties, a lot of responsibilities. But the fact is, when you walk into an F campus, when you walk into a high poverty area, when you walk into a school that really needs leadership, strong leadership right now, it's hard to find a balance. It's hard. So my question to you is this: I don't know specifically the campus that you're working in, Gernard, but as an assistant principal, how do you balance work, family, and yourself? Because people are asking that right now. Do I want to submit my application to be an assistant principal?
Yes, you should submit your application. But if you go back to what I said earlier, I wish I'd have been stronger with keeping those boundaries. No matter how bad that campus is that you're coming into it, you can't do everything in one day. Once that last bus leaves and I go back to my office, I'm done. Whatever I don't finish, I make a note and I pick up there tomorrow. I try to structure my day, but as you know, one phone call, one drill or anything can throw your day, haywire. But I'm in a situation where when I do become a campus leader or district leader, I'm going to be intentional about respecting boundaries and telling people you don't work from home. Your cell phone is not the district cell phone. Establishing clear boundaries. Go home, be with your family. I think the more that you can leave work at work, the better you will be. Because I'm in a situation now where we get text messages at 6 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not effective at either time. I handle work when I get to work. When I get to the parking lot and I get that radio, that's when I'm there. I'm not there for you 24/7, and that leads to burnout. So being intentional about setting those boundaries, and don't be afraid to have those conversations with your principal. Whether they get mad or not, that's okay. But it can be done in a respectful way. These are my boundaries. When I'm at home with my family, I'm with my family. There's no need to contact me outside of work hours. Let me get my time with my family. Let me get my personal time. When I'm here at work, then you get my work time.
All right. Boundaries. David, how do you try to balance this out?
For me, it's besides setting boundaries and setting times, is develop that leadership in other people. People, give them that, authority or that feeling that, hey, they can do this. They don't need me to be over their shoulder telling them, you need to do this. This is the right decision. I have different committees that I chair and lead, but I say, I'm an assistant principal. I'm not going to be at every meeting just because that's the life role. There could be a bus issue at the end of the day when the meetings are going on. So I, appoint one or two people. You're in charge while I'm gone. I'll check in with you to see what the progress is. And when I can be there, I'm going to be there.
Perfect. Sustainable leadership within your campus, the whole team. Love it. Chuck, talk to us.
Well, when I think about balance, balance is a constant attempt to get the scales straight. I don't believe that you can balance. I think that you have to prioritize in the moment. And there are times when you're going to have to do the things that might seem the least important because they could become really big things if you don't take care of them at the moment. And then there are going to be other times when you're going to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is really about me. Think about those boundaries that you were talking about, Jannard. I don't think that balance truly exists. And I think that becomes a stressor for us saying, I don't feel like I'm balanced. Well, you're not. But I had dinner at home with everybody 4 times this week. That's fantastic. So, I'm keeping my priorities where they need to be. I'm not finding that balance, but I'm making sure that I'm prioritizing the right things. And sometimes that priority is all about the moment. And sometimes that priority is about, setting your lifestyle the way you want to set.
Beautiful. Exactly. Priority. Everyone has said something totally different that all makes sense. Dr. Sonia A. Matthew.
I can't think of anything different. It's so you learn.
That's fine.
You learn on the job. So for me, I'm always trying to figure out what's a better way to do things differently to maximize that time, because we all have the same amount of time. And so it's important to just sit with that. And like you said, Chuck, prioritize what matters the most, knowing that there's things that are not negotiable. So what is it for you that's not negotiable? For me, it's my self-care. It's my health. I believe in making sure that I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm able to do this work well, because I can't fill those cups every day unless I'm not well. So that takes time to really understand that and reflecting on that and knowing that in order to be healthy, you have to have your sleep, you have to eat well, you have to move, right? All of those things matter. And if you're not working, if you're staying up all night, which I used to do, okay, how effective is that? How effective is your body working if you're just working like a machine? So maybe it's waking up early in the morning. Maybe that works better for you. Scientifically, we tend to work better in the mornings, right? So your brain just is the most alert. So finding that place and figuring out what works for you, it's trial and error, it's deep reflection, and it's being intentional about wanting to be at your optimal level in this role. So it's a process.
Beautiful. Awesome. Exactly. And before we get into our last question and then our lightning round, I like to plug a couple of books. Trust me, I ain't getting $1 billion from YouTube. I got no subscribers. I ain't getting any kickback from these companies, but they're good reads. So Superintendent Glenn Robbins writes books that I love, nice and quick to the point. Calm in the Chaos. All leaders need to read this because it will keep you focused when you're dealing with that cheerleading mom. Calm in the Chaos. A whole idea of the Stoics in school leadership. He will be on the show in 2 weeks promoting his brand new book. So I invite all of you to join us. I won't back down. There's a dark side to education where there are gatekeepers. Gatekeepers don't allow us to move up, to apply, to do anything. There's gatekeepers that blackball you, that speak ill of you. And this book connects education and those obstacles that you're told you'll never be a principal, like I was. You'll never be a principal. You better leave. To artists that were told your music is horrible. Last I heard, a lot of these, Tom Petty, I think he's kind of successful compared to many other artists in here. Jimmy Casas was on the show 3-4 weeks ago. His brand new book is on fire. If you want to hear 23 stories from 23 educators, I wrote chapter 23 about how we turned around a high school that I talked about earlier in my Chinchilla moment. Barbara Bray, Grow Your Why. And the last one, if you had those awkward conversations with those team members that have issues with discipline, Kevin Curtis from Texas has a great system of how to change discipline in a classroom, on a campus, in a district, and he'll show you step by step how to do it. He's been a guest on the show before, and he speaks from the heart, has a lot of conferences. I highly recommend those books because they are to the point and they help us as administrators and educators to become the best version of ourselves. So, Chuck, before we get into the lightning round, I want you to finish this sentence. Hey, educator, next year I want you to...
Next year, I want you to be the teacher that you needed when you were a student in your classroom.
Nice. David Stack, I want you to finish this. Hey, educator, next year I want you to...
be reflective and be the best version of yourself.
Gernard Griggs, finish this sentence. Hey, educator, next year I want you to...
Look to advance and move up. Don't be stagnant.
And Dr. Sonia A. Matthews, hey, educator, next school year, I want you to...
Be well planned out.
Love it, love it. And here we go. The Échale Ganas questions, they're quick. If you take too long on an answer, I'm going to look at you like this, and I'm going to do the Pac-Man sound. You're taking too long. It's a lightning round. You're only allowed to take a couple of extra seconds with question number 2. That's the only thing that I gave them before the show. This is an organically held show. And so we're going to start off with David. And David, do you know what ganas is? Do you know what ganas is? Ganas is a spiritual word for all Hispanics. Bolivia, El Salvador, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, Mexico, Cuba. Doesn't matter. If you are Hispanic, you use this word. It's a word that's a generational word. There is no equate in the English language, because this means spiritually, as a people, we support each other, let alone our offspring and future offspring. It's ganas. And so when you answer these questions, I want ganas from you, David. Con puro corazón. So here we go. Give advice.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Give advice to a new administrator.
Be willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work.
Read a note, an email, a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
A comment I got is, Mr. Stack, did you dress in the dark this morning? That's my wild, going back to my teacher that inspired me, wearing those wild outfits. Get them talking.
Send some flowers to a current educator who inspires you.
My 6th grade math teacher, Mrs. Dean, who is going for her principal's cert, and we're working close to get her different projects to build that leadership within herself.
Name one person people should follow on social media.
Besides you and myself, I would say any of the podcast guests here today.
Nice
so
answer. Love it. What is one song, una canción that embodies your spirit as a person?
Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses.
What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is, my favorite quote is the African proverb. I'm blanking. You got that pressure on me. I'm sorry. Kids that will burn a village down just to feel its warmth. I think that's what it goes. I have to look it up. I'm sorry.
All right, it's all right. We'll let you.
I failed. I'm sorry.
When you repost this, I'm gonna let you repost it with the actual quote, sir. Here we go.
Thank you, sir.
What's your favorite cheat food?
Cheat food is right now got to be French fries, fresh cut French fries all the way.
What is your favorite TV show or book?
Oh, you know what? My favorite book I just got done listening to on Audible as I was running the Weed Eater today is The Relentless by Hamish Brewer. Principal in Virginia.
And people,
a good man.
Very good guy. The skateboard principal. So,
yes.
David, how can people get a hold of you and pick at that brain and learn about how to get your eyes eyelined and nails polished?
Oh, well, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, David Stack, or you can see me on X, formerly known as Twitter, as Stack ED Services.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you. Chuck
And
Moss.
Josh, yes, sir. I'm going to say we're getting ready for dinner, so I'm going to go quick.
Give advice to a new administrator.
Always go home on time at least one day a week.
Read a note, an email, or text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
I had a teacher who was always doing stuff for kids. I said, "You're a locomotive for education." And she told me, "If I'm the locomotive, you're the rails."
Send some flowers to a current educator who inspires you.
I send flowers to my wife because she is a STEAM teacher. She inspires me every day through the things she does for her kids.
Love it. Name one person people should follow on social media.
One person. Oh gosh, Don Epps. Don Epps.
Don, true. Superintendent. What's one song that embodies you as a person?
Unity by Shinedown.
What's your favorite quote?
Experience is the hardest teacher because it gives the test after the learning, or gives the learning after the test.
What is your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Oh gosh, favorite cheat food right now. I'm gonna have to go right along with David. I shouldn't have them, but French fries are my thing.
What's your favorite TV show or book?
I just finished watching The Residents on Netflix. Fantastic show. Definitely worth the watch. Favorite book? If you don't feed the teachers, they eat the students.
How can people get a hold of your daily encouragement, sir? Daily.
Well, I'll tell you what, on just about every social media platform you're going to find, it's Chuck Moss EDU.
Chuck, go in with your family. Happy Father's Day.
All right, thank
Son-
you. I appreciate the invitation. So glad to meet all of you.
Gotcha. Dr. Sonia Matthew, give advice to a new administrator.
Always keep learning.
Read a note, an email, or a text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Thank you for seeing something in me that I did not see in myself.
Send some flowers to a current educator that inspires you.
Current educator. Miss Watson.
Who's Miss Watson?
She's our current 4th grade teacher who builds leadership in her classroom.
Love it. What's one person people should follow on social media?
Dr. Rachel Edoweke.
Yes, ma'am. What is one song that embodies your spirit as a person?
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Oh. I would never have expected that, ma'am. Wow. What is your favorite quote?
We can go deep, but we're not going to do that on this podcast.
Hey, you'll be back for a follow-up on that one right there. What's your favorite quote?
Be the change that you wish to see in this world.
What's your favorite cheat food or sweet?
Pizza.
What's your favorite TV show or book?
TV show or book. The book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Love it. And how can people get a hold of the AP of the Year?
So right here, Dr. Sonia A. Matthew on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Youth Doctor on Instagram, and yeah.
Perfect. And to close out the show, the last one at bat right here, Mr. Gennard Griggs from Region 10. Call it. Here goes a home run right here. Give advice to a brand new administrator.
Set work boundaries and don't give out your cell phone.
Read a note, an email, or text from a teacher or student that inspired you.
Miss Carrico, one of my teachers, she asked me, was I coming back next year? And I told her probably not. And she said, this school really needed you and I'm going to miss you.
Nice. Send some flowers to a current educator who inspires you.
Miss Ashante DeBose, Mrs. Ambria Hawkins, Counselor of the Year, Middle School Counselor of the Year, and my fellow counterpart, Mrs. Stacy Johns. They have been there for me.
Love it. Name one person people should follow on social media.
Dr. Des Stewart, Principal Gainesville, ISD here in Texas.
What's one song that embodies your spirit as a person?
I'm going to keep it PG since it's Sunday. I'm going to go gospel. William Murphy, It's Working.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I had a longer list.
That was perfect. Love it. We don't need to go that organic. What's your favorite quote?
Education is a passport to freedom. Late great Malcolm X.
Agreed. And I love that on your Twitter. I love seeing that picture right there. What's your favorite cheat food?
Bluebell vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla?
Mm-hmm.
Plain vanilla.
Wow. All right. What's your favorite TV show or book?
Favorite TV show, probably right now I go BMF season 2. My favorite book right now is the autobiography of Jay Prince. Very great businessman.
So how can people go tap into that brain, that knowledge, that experience in Texas?
Email jlgriggs1@att.net. If you email me, I will give you my number and just call me or text. I'm very open.
Perfect. Hey, panel, thank you very much for being here on Father's Day. I appreciate you. And it's crucial that we have this information because you know what? This is life-giving advice and it's free experience. You don't have to go to a conference in Orlando or New York or Maryland or Hawaii. You've got the knowledge right here. People that actually do the work every single last day, whether the positives or non-positives, the experience is there. And those of you that are aspiring for the chair or the ultimate chair, you got the knowledge right here. They got you all the different backgrounds and it was all for free. You don't need a PO. You don't need your principal to approve it. You don't need to tie the TEKS or the curriculum into why you need to go there. You don't need to get a signature from the financial director. It's all for free. And it's part of the Fantastic Four. You could go to Coach Hurt. You could go to Shika, to Tammy, to Principal Cafele, myself. It's all free. And we have these awesome guests that live it every single last day, and they brought the organic knowledge and the facts, baby. There were so many mic drops today that you, my friend, are part of that knowledge. So please Join us back next week when we've got another awesome show, the Curriculum Show, delivering of instruction with A-plus people from across the country. We've got Eric Francis, Sean Kane, John Corripio, and Jorge Valenzuela on the show, all in one platform here as we prepare for that building of a great lesson for the next 25 school year. And like I said, the following week, Superintendent Glenn Robbins talking about his brand new book about that dark side of education where people put barriers for us on moving ahead. He talks about it in his book with personal experiences. Panel, thank you for being here. Stay on the call. Don't hang up yet. Say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, everybody. Join us next week, and I will get that Facebook stream fixed. Thank you. Happy Father's Day. Feliz Día de los Padres. Los quiero mucho. Gracias por estar aquí. Thank you for being here.